All right.
Welcome, everyone, to another Wednesday episode of Women You Should Know. I am so excited to be sitting down with Catherine Landis today. She is the founder and creator of Oh What Fun. And we're going to dive in to hear a little bit about her story, the business that she is creating, and what life looks like as a mom and a small business owner. So, first of all, Catherine, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Well, I'm so excited. And your story is, as a mom, I'm reading through this and sort of this need for your son and his story. And I would love to get a little bit more information about like what it looked like when you were starting this. What was your why? And a little bit about you.
So the journey started with my son back when he was 2 years old, went on a medical journey, ended up being diagnosed with Crohn's, and we had to change our entire lifestyle. Well, we made the choice to change our entire lifestyle so we wouldn't be dependent on medicine. Doctors said, hey, if you want to give, there's some research that backs up natural living, some holistic approaches. If you really want to ditch the medicines or see if you can, why don't you there's no harm in giving this lifestyle a try. And so we did. We switched to a non-toxic home, natural living, completely changed his diet, and we saw huge improvements. And he went into remission with his Crohn's, got off medicine. But in switching our entire lifestyle, the missing piece was safe sensory play. I couldn't find sensory play that met the standards that we now needed for his lifestyle. And at the time, being so young, everything went into his mouth. And a sensory play that has like moisture to it also gets absorbed by the skin. So like sand, Play-Doh, all of that, like contact absorbing into his skin, the food dyes, the gluten and standard Play-Doh, all of that was being absorbed by him, which was in a way not allowing him to fully heal from his Crohn's. And there just wasn't, I found gluten-free Play-Doh, but not dye-free Play-Doh. And there just wasn't anything out there. And same with the sand, like standard kinetic sand you see at the store was great, but it had artificial dyes in it that would be absorbed by his skin, and he would break out in a rash, and all the symptoms would come up. So that's what triggered me to go on a journey to find safe, all natural sensory play.
That's
And
amazing.
yes, and my background is in education, so I understood how important sensory play was for his development. And I just wanted to provide that. And so for William, I really focused on the sand because that is just personally what his preference was. I think some
Mhm.
children love sand, some love Play-Doh. William loved the sand. So I really focused on the sand. And it's taken me until now to perfect the Play-Doh recipe, which he's 7 years old now. So 5 years in the making of the Play-Doh recipe. So
Oh my goodness. So walk me through that. You're looking around the space. You don't see any products that are going to meet the needs for your child. So you make the decision, I'm going to go and create this for him. What did that look like? Because I imagine sort of like this mad scientist moment, sands everywhere, all these different products. Kind of walk me through what it looked like to create the first physical, few prototypes.
yes. So at first, I actually, to back it up a little bit more, I went straight to just play sand. I knew the kinetic sand didn't work because of the dyes. So then I
Mhm.
thought, okay, we're just going to go to Home Depot and get a bag of play sand. But we did that for a while, and he actually ended up getting a parasite infection because regular play sand has all kinds of toxins in it as well, which I didn't know. I
Right.
think a lot of this, there's just not much awareness on sensory play and how that some products affect our children. And so I knew he wanted sand. Kinetic sand wasn't an option. Play sand was no longer an option. I started thinking about and researching, how can you make like homemade sand? And I actually came across a blogger who was like crunching up Cheerios. And so I started, my first prototype was crunched up Cheerios. Well, that was fun for a minute, but they didn't last long. They got mushy. It just didn't really work. And so then I looked at, okay, well, what are Cheerios made out of? Like, why do Cheerios make a sand-like texture? And Cheerios are basically oats. So I thought, okay, if Cheerios can be turned into a sand-like texture, what about just oats? And so then I got oats from the store and put them in my home blender and just blended up some oats. And lo and behold, they create an awesome kinetic sand-like texture. So that's how the Oat Wet Fun sand was kind of developed and born. That was the process with that. And
I
then,
love that.
yeah, I've been working on figuring out how to dye it naturally,
Mm-hmm.
but oats are so absorbable. It's a really extensive process to get them to hold the color, at least for the sand uh, part of it. So
I'm sure. And for anyone listening or watching and you're not familiar with kinetic sand, because maybe as a mom, I'm just like, wow, kinetic sand. It is almost, it's, if you think about traditional play sand, like when we were little, we had little turtle dome boxes, but this, it almost makes you feel like there's little magnets in it because everything sticks together. So as a parent, you already know that you're thinking about the mess when it comes to sensory play. And this is one of those things that kind of sticks together. So having an option, because when I think about it, there's one brand that comes to mind that I know my children have, and now I'm going to go look at that. But it has, very bright neon colors. So I think we have like neon pink and turquoise and bright green. I'm pretty sure I've given it away as a few birthday presents to friends. So it's definitely a different tactile experience for children. So tell me about the colors, because I know that for you, I just purchased some of the Play-Dohs. I think I got green and blue and pink. So what do you use in lieu of traditional colors?
So the pink is beet extract. So everything is
Okay,
plant-based.
perfect.
And the blue and the green are different versions of spirulina extract.
Okay.
And then I also have a natural dough that just doesn't have any
Any
plant-based
colors at
dye in
all?
it. It's just the oats and the other ingredients. So, and any future colors I launch will be plant-based natural dyes.
I love that. Well, and you touched on it earlier, so much of this is awareness because, I just had my fifth baby and it wasn't really until this year that I really became aware of everything that was in all of our products, from plastics to the laundry detergent to what we were using to, wipe down our counters and now play toys. I don't feel like this was a conversation we had growing up of what are all these actual ingredients? What does this mean long term for our kids? Understanding, like I know that my son has a sensitivity to red dye. So it's so interesting. So how do you, when you first launched this and people were starting to find out about you and purchase these products, what were you hearing from them? Were they similar stories? Who really is like your ideal client or your customer here?
So ideal client customer is someone who's interested in that natural living, non-toxic home. When I first launched, a learning curve for me was people hearing William's story
Mhm.
automatically associated it with, well, my child doesn't have allergies, my child doesn't have an underlying condition, but this is great to know about, but we don't personally need it because our child doesn't have a condition.
Mhm.
And yes, Oh What Fun provides products for children that do have those conditions, but it is also perfect for those families who are just wanting a more natural, non-toxic home. So that's
Because when you think about play, we try to protect them in all these different ways. So when
right.
you become aware of something like this, it becomes a no-brainer for parents. So was this your first business? I know that your background is in education. So have you launched a business before, or was this really the first time?
First time, zero business
First.
background in terms of, so I was a former teacher and then a director of a preschool,
Okay.
but never run a business because even, running a school is completely different than opening your own business and
Yeah.
everything that goes into that. So yes, complete learning curve with starting my own business.
And what would you say was one of your top challenges stepping into this role of running your own business?
really just balancing life. You think,
Mhm.
oh, this will be fun. I can still be stay-at-home mom, make what fun products when the kids are napping or when they go to bed. But there's a lot more to it. You have to think of social media, marketing, planning for the future. I was kind of on the late end of launching some Valentine's stuff just because I was juggling mom life and trying to
Mhm.
launch What Fun Valentine's. And I think that's been one of the hardest things is just as the business has taken off and grown, it's been a lot to balance motherhood and the business. And I think something I've had to realize is I can't do it all. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
asking for help, getting, some additional nanny in the afternoon or asking someone to give me some marketing advice or whatever it may be. I've learned to accept help and that I can't do it all.
Now, is it just you behind the scenes? Are you a one-woman show, or do you have a team behind you?
I'm a one-woman show.
Okay.
Yes. I have had a few high school girls come help me fulfill orders
Mhm.
when the orders have gotten more out of control than I was expecting, but I don't have anyone consistently. No,
Okay.
it's just me on a day-to-day basis.
And
Yes.
if you could go back to that first night, like you're grinding up all these oats and you're trying to figure out the consistency of the Cheerios, what is something you would tell yourself? It kind of like the preview ahead. Like if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
In terms of the process of figuring out the product,
Or in terms of business, really just sort of anything that she needed to hear.
well, I think one, don't give up when the first thing doesn't work. That doesn't mean it's not going to work.
Mhm.
And that was something very frustrating for me as I was trying to figure out all these different prototypes. It took me a long time to figure out the consistency of the sand and even the Play-Doh. That's literally been 5 years in the making. And there were days where I thought, okay, this is just it. William's just gonna have to be happy with crumbly Play-Doh and with sand that doesn't stick together and mold. But I just kept, even when I got frustrated, I would give myself a little pep talk and say, wait a second, no, don't give up. You can figure this out, keep going. And I think that is a really important lesson for other moms to know about and learn that. I mean, it's going to be hard. And when it's hard, don't give up. Keep going.
I
You'll
love
get.
that because that would probably be my one question for you. You talked about it took 5 years to find the right recipe for one product. What was it? Was it William or was it the end goal? What is it that really kept you motivated to keep going until you found that perfect combo?
It was, I mean, a large part of it was William, but also a large part of it was growing family. I now have Charles, who's, I guess he's 20 months this month, actually. But when Charles turned 1, William kept encouraging me to provide him that sensory play. He's like, Mom, now Charles is old enough for the sand and for my Play-Doh. You need to keep making it for him, and it's gonna really help him like it helped me. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna keep going
Oh my
for my
goodness.
kid. So that's what really kept me going, is having another young child and having William's the oldest, then I have Margaret, middle child, and then Charles. And
Okay.
yes, William specifically kept me motivated.
I love that. So, if you were to run into another mom who wanted to start, especially a product based business in e commerce, what recommendation would you give to her in terms of a good starting place?
I would say, even when you have the product, you want to launch, and it's really exciting that you have figured out that product. Also, really spend some time figuring out marketing, branding, good website, good social media. For me, I had the product and I just ran with it. And I
Mhm.
had never started a business before. And if I could do it all over again, I would have taken time figuring out all the little details that go with the product.
Right.
Pricing, packaging, website, marketing, I mean, all of that. So even if it means another 6 months or a year before officially launching, I think it would have been a lot better to have those details together.
I love that. So, where can everyone listening, everyone watching, where can they find out more about you and go shopping?
So my website is the best place to go shopping at whatfun.com. And I regularly post to Instagram and active in my stores. You can always message me on Instagram, ask me any questions, easily accessible there.
Perfect. And what are some of the fan favorite products? Do you have a number one shipped item?
So the sand starter kit has remained my number one shipped item, and the Play-Doh starter kit is a strong number two. And I just recently launched the Play-Doh towards the end of January.
I love that. Well, I am so excited to receive my order in the mail and have the kids open that on Easter. So I want to just take a second to thank you and congratulate you I know you're still going on this journey of what this business is going to look like in the next year, but I just want to congratulate you on all of your success and thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. And if anybody needs any information or wants to find out more about Oh What Fun, I'm going to link it below. But check out ohwhatfun.com with Catherine Landis. And Catherine, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.